So are we asking Congress to decommission all the nuclear weapons? Is that...
We are asking Congress to stop allocating money to upgrade all the nuclear weapon systems and delivery systems. Not ask, we're telling them.
And America is about to build or replace all its submarines, all its planes, all its missiles and all its nuclear weapons to the tune of $1 trillion by 2040. It's not a shame, it's obscene. It's obscene what the Americans are doing.
The people in Congress are our representatives and we are their leaders. The President is not our leader, he's our representative in a democracy. And once you start to understand that, you'll know what democracy means. It's you, the power of the people, but an educated democracy behaves in a responsible fashion. That's power. It's the power of the people, it's the power of democracy. Don't sit on your bottoms and do tweet and all of that stuff. Get out, use your bodies.
You can't have wars in a country now that has nuclear power plants. Because if Europe, the Second World War was fought today, Europe would have been uninhabitable forevermore. And we're mining uranium, and where does it go? It goes into reactors, making more and more radioactive waste, which has to be stored isolated from the environment for 1 million years. They've got a thing called the Waste Confidence Bill in America, meaning they have confidence and in time they'll work out what to do with their radioactive waste. They never will, and the radioactive waste, they've got 77,000 tonnes in America and huge amounts in Japan and the like, will over time infiltrate into the water supplies and concentrate in the food, causing epidemics of cancer, leukemia and genetic disease forevermore.
Do you think that the safe use of nuclear is just impossible over the long term?
The safe use of nuclear, it's a ridiculous question because it makes radioactive waste.
Yes, very good crowd. Nice crowd.
The situation is much more dangerous now because A, no one knows the weapons are still on hair trigger alert. B, it would take 1 hour to have a nuclear war. People are totally ignorant. When I came in 78, almost everyone supported the concept of nuclear war. In 5 years with our education, 80% opposed it. Things were very scary because Reagan was the president and he was very belligerent towards Russia, and both countries had huge stockpiles of nuclear weapons, and Reagan made jokes about pressing the button.
I guess there are a couple of things I don't know about this airplane, sir. I'm glad to hear you admit it. It's the beginning of wisdom. Well, sir, how soon do I get a chance to knock one of them down? Soon enough.
I went to see Reagan.
Did you?
Yes, I spent 1.25 hours with Reagan in 82, I think, or 83. And I ended up holding his hand half the time because he didn't know anything, and I'd just written my book, Missile Envy, and I was just full of facts and figures and data and CIA reports and stuff. So he would make a statement and I'd stop him and correct him, and he'd get very flushed and anxious, so I held his hand. So
you literally held his hand?
Oh yeah, I held his hand for about half of the whole interview.
Really?
And yeah, to reassure him. And I actually established a doctor-patient relationship with him.
It was a hell of an explosion, and well, I guess that's all, sir. That's enough. Holy smoke. What's the matter with you, Weldon? Well, it just occurred to me, sir, there, but by the grace of God went I.
Several times a year we get very close to nuclear war. Accidents could happen. I mean, accidents have nearly happened frequently.
The most serious one was in November 1979 when someone plugged a war games tape into the fail-safe computer, the Pentagon. The computer made a mistake and it detected weapons coming from Russia, so it put the whole world on nuclear alert for 6 minutes. 3 squadrons of planes took off towards Russia armed with nuclear weapons. At the 7th, the president was to be officially notified, but they couldn't find him. And if it hadn't been stopped at that point, 14 minutes later, we would have been annihilated.
To give you an example here, the Americans launched a weather satellite from Norway, and they told the Kremlin, but the Kremlin lost the information. And when the Russians picked it up with their satellites, you see, they thought that a Trident submarine, because the Americans got 14 Trident submarines, you know, silently coursing through the oceans, each with about 400 hydrogen bombs on them. And they thought that a Trident had been launched heading towards Moscow, because the way you win a nuclear war is you decapitate Moscow so Putin's destroyed and can't press his button. Then you land all your weapons accurately on all their missile silos and kill their missiles. People dying, that's just called collateral damage. Anyway, I'll go into that in a minute.
So that's a first strike.
Yeah, well, America's policy is a first strike, winnable nuclear war. Still, winnable nuclear war. Of course, everyone will die, but, you know...
Is that an official policy?
That's the official policy. They'd warned the Russians that would happen, but the Russians lost the data in the Kremlin. Often happens. That's my phone.
Okay, get it. Do you want it?
Yeah, that's probably...
Ding, ding, ding.
What?
God, it's intense, isn't it?
You think it's interesting?
Yeah. Like, you know, but you don't know. And it is. It's how to get to the masses, how to make people realise what the flipping heck is going on.
Yes.
Ding, 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 ding.
We're on the brink of annihilation. This is apart from global warming.
The National Academy of Sciences in 1975 estimated if both superpowers used only 10% of the arsenals of their hydrogen bombs, 10%, it could destroy 50 to 80% of the ozone layer in the northern hemisphere and 30 to 40% in the southern hemisphere. And some scientists think if only 20% of it is destroyed worldwide, it could blind every organism on the Earth.
Global warming is now happening.
Yeah.
Methane is being released from the Arctic Circle, from the permafrost. It's 20 times more potent as a global warmer than CO2. Millions of tonnes will be released, and millions of tonnes of CO2 from the permafrost. We've reached almost the tipping point of no return, and it's terribly serious. We've got to stop burning coal now, because it's a potent source of CO2. It's also simple. Renewable energy like windmills and solar are just so cheap now. All renewable energies now can produce baseline power like solar thermal, heating up huge amounts of oil or liquid sodium, so you've got heat continuously, and also you integrate the grid, so if the wind's not blowing, the sun's shining, or if at night the sun's not shining, the wind's blowing. But you use computers to integrate and make a smart grid. Duh! No one talks about it now, the media's not educating people.
We are living on the brink of nuclear annihilation every second of every day.
Ignorance is not bliss, ignorance is incredibly dangerous.
Now there's another additional problem, and that's called artificial intelligence. They're going to be so intelligent they can reproduce themselves, and so intelligent that they can tap into systems and they could possibly launch a nuclear war.
Take responsibility. Be aware of where your electricity is generated. I ask audiences where it's generated. I haven't a clue. Conserving energy. The truth is that Americans waste 28% of the electricity they use because they leave their lights on all night. There's a sense of entitlement in America. I don't know where they got it from. So you could save 28% of the electricity by just turning the lights off, hanging your clothes outside. And people say, ooh, you can't hang your clothes outside. There's a law in Atlanta that prevents people hanging their clothes outside because Mrs. Brown next door might see your underpants or your brassiers. Oh my God! Well, I grew up in Australia and we've always hung our clothes out to be dried by the nuclear reactor in the sky, and it's time Americans got wised up.
Because we've got to stop this, or there's no hope. I don't understand how we're still here. There is no future for our children. I can't tell you how concerned I am.
Every house in America should have a solar panel on it. All the parking lots should have solar panels. Everyone should have an electric car, plugging the car into the solar panel during the day when they're at work and driving it home at night, and then you can plug it into your house and help charge up your house as well. If you want to make money, you invest in renewables. It's just hand over fist. I'm about to be 76, you know, I don't know how much longer I'll live, and the truth is there are very few leaders I want written on my tombstone, she tried.